Our film is a very simple story. It dwells a lot in its treatment. It does a lot in its treatment. Because of its simplicity, the emotion hits.
Mitul honestly wrote just the idea of the thing, and it just connected because someone in my family had already gone through euthanasia in Holland. We shot the entire film in 17 days. So we had about 3.5 months of pre-planning.
Making films is an expensive medium. It takes so much time. So you want to make it as universal as possible. So it's very hard to do with a niche subject like this. That's one of the reasons lesser films get made on the subject, which I think it's more to do with that than the society not wanting to talk about it.
It's the first day of shoot. We decided to shoot the last scene of the movie. It was an emotional scene, and I'm getting ready for the shot, and I'm going. My co-actor's already sitting there, and मैं वहाँ बैठा हूँ, मैं ready हो रहा हूँ, and मैं, I'm going towards my shot. वहाँ पीछे से line producer बोलता है, sir, इसको पैसा भेज दो. So I'm like, what are you doing? I'm just going for the emotional thing.
I made this film with the hope when people watch it, they feel something. That's the underlying thing that I want.
Alright, quiet on the set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
And action.
Our guests today are Mitul Patel and Raj Vasudeva. Mitul is a filmmaker who has bypassed the traditional wait your turn route of the industry, having jumped from a debut short Confined to a feature film that is already traveling the international festival circuit. Raj is an actor and producer whose career bridges the San Francisco theater circuit production in Amsterdam and now the Mumbai indie scene. He's creator drawn to real human stories with depth, and in his film he carries the dual weight of producing while playing Shekhar, a man forced to decide whether to let his mother go on Christmas Eve. Together, they've created Mercy, a film that tackles the taboo of passive euthanasia through the lens of a family drama. It has already won Best International Feature at London Independent Film Festival and traveled to Chicago, Cannes, and Barcelona. But beyond the global accolades, what interests us is how two independent creators managed to bring such an insensitive, high stakes story to the Indian big screen at a time when the nation is just beginning to have this conversation. Mitul and Raj, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for inviting us, and you've done so much research on us. I mean,
Had to. All right. Mitul, I want to start from you. We call this series Take One because we want to start from the absolute beginning. You directed a short called Confined. For anyone in their early 20s watching who feels they have a big story, what was the little first step you took to turn a Paresh Rawal interview anecdote into a feature film script? Did you feel ready or did you just start writing because you couldn't stop thinking about it?
you can actually never be ready, to be honest. If you wait for the perfect time, it never comes to be very fair. Glad. I mean, I was not thinking of talking about Confined, the short I made. It's a film that I probably wouldn't want to show anyone. I've made all the mistakes I could have made in that very film, and honestly, yet it was one of the most important films or things that I've worked on. I put 7 months on it as well while I was in college. It was part of my college project that I had to make a film, and it was a very small crew, very limited budget. So you understand how to work in it. So when you undertake such projects by yourself, and if it comes across and if you pull through, um, you have that confidence that you have also, I would also call it delusion, कि you can do something even crazier. I wouldn't call it crazy, but you have that confidence slash delusion कि what's the next challenge for you. So when I saw that interview from Mr. Paresh Rawal, that he said something that really sparked something in me. तो उस पे ही and it stayed emotionally. It was very gripping, and again I had to make a film for my college, and that gave me a reason to start writing. Honestly, I wrote it into a short film first. Then college में हम बना नहीं पाए. We couldn't make that film in college for some or the other reason. And then I somehow connected with Neeraj Raj, and we somehow he really loved the subject, and we decided let's turn into a feature film if there is more story to tell. So next 3 months, I went off to write it into a feature. There was definitely more story to tell. It is much more layered than it was as a short. And yeah, now we are heading to the release of the film.
Right. So, for your first film, you said you made mistakes. That is necessary, right? For a guy or someone watching in their early 20s, that is necessary, making mistakes.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. Okay. So yeah, and honestly, that's what teaches you. पहली film में, also realized that so many people making their first films make very similar mistakes.
Right.
Technically, sound is not proper. You try to do too much with the film. You've seen so much, तो आप जितना आता है सब कुछ एक ही फिल्म में करने की कोशिश करते हो.
Right.
And those not focusing on the production design, etc., etc. You just want to communicate a story. So all the mistakes that any first-time filmmaker would make, and it's very justified, and that's how you learn. Or other ways to work for years on professional film sets and get that experience. That's a different route altogether. This is a route where you fail and you learn.
Right. Makes sense.
My question is to Raj. You have spent 15 years producing advertising commercials. You were living in Amsterdam. He didn't even send you the full script at first, just the bare bone of an idea. As a producer, what was that one specific hook in his pitch that made you realize that this wasn't just another indie project, but something worth moving back to India?
So just to correct a little bit, I had moved back. I was shuttling between India and Amsterdam at that time.
Right.
And I was producing advertising for the last 15 years. And I was an actor before as well. So I was acting before, but acting kind of went on the back burner. So when I was thinking of, everybody thinks like, "Arey yaar, मेरे को तो movie बनानी hai, right? लेकिन बनाने में it takes so much time and effort. People don't make it. It's very hard to make a movie. It's not easy to get up and say, let's make a movie.
Right.
You can make a student movie or a scale movie. Even that is hard. So when I decided, okay, you know what, I want to give acting a chance again, I thought, let me best this to see first of all if I can still act. You know what I mean? So I said, let me this indie group that's there. So I messaged a friend of mine, messaged them and said that I'm looking for a script for a short film to produce. And honestly, I got like 100 scripts. There was so many scripts to go through, and I was going through. It took me like a month and a half to read most of them, and they're all different levels, wonderfully written. Mitul honestly wrote just the idea of the thing, and it just connected because someone in my family had already gone through euthanasia in Holland.
Right.
Euthanasia is legal in Holland, the active euthanasia, where the patients can decide as well. So it kind of hit it right there that this is a subject that needs to be told. It's a very emotional film. It's a very heartfelt subject, and obviously in India, it was a taboo to talk about this kind of stuff. Luckily, it's open now by the Supreme Court case that just happened with Harish Rana. So when it just hit me and I said, you know what, this is something we have to make yeah. And when I met him, we discussed more about the topic and kind of made it a feature film from a short film that he had written. I love the character. It was very, it was not me. So it's a challenge as well. It was a very passive character, but very well written story. So we kind of, and then that's how I got on the project.
Mitul, you mentioned the idea germinated 3.5 years ago. Why was death the subject you wanted to spend your early 20s obsessing over?
Yeah, actually, that is something I even think about now, because so yeah, it germinated from an interview from Mr. Paresh Rawal,
Right.
where he spoke about his mother's sacrifice, that how his mother sacrificed her own life so that he doesn't have to live the rest of his life in guilt and regret. And that is what stayed with me, because this, when someone else has to pull the plug on their parent, it's such a hard decision. It's such a gray area that I wanted to explore it just because of how complex it was. Also, as a writer, I was just thinking about it today that if I were to make a film of any other genre which had lesser stakes, uh, lesser commentary on the society or something like that, it's very hard to keep motivating yourself then, because there will be a lot of times where you want to maybe not give up, but you want to, you are down and out, and when the subject is greater than you, when the film that you are making is greater than you, that pushes you to keep yourself motivated. So if the story or the idea of it or the reason why you are telling the story is so much greater, you will keep motivating yourself. So I'm glad I made a film on such a subject, because I did not envision the journey to be this long. I wouldn't have been able to carry on for this long if I was making another genre film or something like that, which was very lighter or easier to, um, um, where I would think that it's not important enough to be told.
Right, that makes sense. Raj sir, as you've said, you've received over 100 scripts when in Holland. What was the red flag in the other 99 that was missing in Mithel's pitch?
I don't think there was anything missing. They were all very
Right,
different genres. There was sci-fi, romance, drama. So they were all very different. They were all unique in their own sense, right? Uh,
right,
like I said, what clicked here was, the subject.
right.
Subject that attracted me. And like what Mitul was just saying, it's a very emotional subject. It's a very real subject
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of families go through. It's something that in a lot of people's lives, it will come or it has come, and we've seen it through certain. We created this docu-series right now, right? So this docu-series was about interviewing real people and real families who've been through this journey. So we've seen it, how they feel when you talk about it, and kind of fictionalizing it and putting it in the story of mercy. It's kind of, I think, giving it a platform to people to kind of talk about the subject more openly, I would say, because through film media we can discuss these kind of topics, and it gives us it's a good platform for us to kind of tell stories like that, human stories. So yeah.
Mitul, let's talk about the transition from short to feature. What is the hardest part of expanding a story? Do you add more characters or do you just let the existing one breathe longer?
Ah, there's no right way to do it. Can only share my journey of how I did it. Uh, the beat board, the from point A to point B remains the same. Now, because that's how the setup is and that's the payoff. What I need to communicate stayed the same from the short film to the feature film. Now, you add more layers into it. All the characters now have every character have their own character arcs now. Not every character, but most characters do. It's a proper ensemble. Apart from the protagonist, there are eight primary characters as well, and each and every character have their own internal journeys and interpersonal relationships with Shekhar's character. That I couldn't have done in a short film. Plus, now the film is much more layered. You feel for the characters much more, and it's much more palatable for a wide array of people, because there are so many characters. The characters range from kids to dogs to old people in the film, and we explored their journeys as well. So it has something for each and everyone. Having said that, to answer your question very quickly, there's no right way to do it, but you try to understand ये character कहना क्या चाहता है और क्यों कह रहा है, and you can justify it as well. पहले in a short film it is very surface level. Now you can go in detail about how and why the character is saying something. You can explain it visually through their own character arcs, and yeah.
Understood.
That's
Raj, you wear two hats, producer and lead actors. In the early days of pre-production, were you ever producer Raj telling actor Raj that a certain scene was too expensive to film?
um, it's an indie project, so we're trying to control all the angles, and we shot really quickly. So we shot the entire film in 17 days.
Oh,
So it was
wow.
very
Okay.
fast done. So we had about 3.5 months of pre-planning.
Mhm.
Better it's pre-planned, the better it's executed, right? The faster you can execute it. Also, we had two
Correct.
camera setup, which was made it easier to do faster shoots, night shoots. So everybody was aligned really well. So it really worked. Um, I mean, we tried to control our locations and everything. So yeah, I mean, look, it's always expensive to make a nice movie, whether it's X amount or Y amount. It's always it depends on your pocket or your investors. So we did manage in a good budget, in a decent budget, but we made sure that the quality does not look subpar. I come from obviously advertising production, and in advertising, you're as good as your last film. No client will give me another film if I really mess up on my first film. So that's one aspect. As a producer, I really wanted to make sure that the quality doesn't suffer. So anybody who sees it, a layman or a kid or from the industry, they should say at least the production value is at par. And of course, obviously the acting and everybody else, we made sure that the right casting is done, the right team is there to execute it. So overall, it was a great team. But as an actor and a producer, there's always mixes. So I mean, I'll just give you a small instant. As an actor, that I got affected is the first day of shoot. We decided to shoot the last scene of the movie, and was an emotional scene. And I'm getting ready for the shot, and I'm going. My co-actor's already sitting there, and मैं ready हो रहा हूँ, and I'm going towards my shot. वहाँ पीछे से line producer बोलता है, sir, इसको पैसा भेज दो. So I'm like, what are you doing? I'm just going for the emotional thing. And it kind of, unbalances you as well sometimes.
Right.
From the next day onwards, I said, you know what, let my co-producer handle more of the production management, because we'd already kind of planned everything. And I just focused on Shekhar,
Right.
what I think it's important. But especially in this kind of genre. अगर कोई
Right.
comedy film होती है, तो then yeah, I'm doing comedy stuff with people on the set, and then 1 second I'm switched on.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be in that character. It helps, because honestly, acting is when you're not acting. It's the best when you're not acting and you're feeling it. So
Right. Mitul, continuing on the short to feature question, for a young filmmaker with a zero budget, is the short to feature path still the most honest way to enter the industry, or is it the only way to enter the industry?
It's not the only way for sure.
Right.
Yet, if you want freedom and control in what you want to do and what stories you want to tell, there's no other option as well.
Right.
So, as a filmmaker I'll talk about myself. I come from a place of privilege. I stay with my grandma in Mumbai. So, the biggest privilege that I have is I don't have to pay my rent. So
Right.
it allows me to tell stories or make a film that I want to make. The monetary pressure hasn't hit me yet. And that's the privilege I have. Not most people will have that privilege who want to make films. So there you also have to understand where you are paying your bills from. So
Right.
that is where most people suffer, and most people, it takes much more longer for them to get the freedom to be able to make their own film. But if you have that privilege, like I did, I would certainly say if you want control and you want to tell your own stories, it's the best route to take. It's the quickest route you can take, irrespective of the quality of the film. Just go out there, make your film possible, and tell the stories that you want to tell, irrespective of the quality. If you can communicate an emotion, or communicate what you want to make people feel, basically, your job is done as a filmmaker. Technical prowess, and what scale the film is at, that is a ladder that you keep climbing in your career. But to start out with, if you have the privilege, you should go for it and make your own stuff. If you don't, it's very realistic. You will have to take a different route, and you will have to be more patient then.
But I'll add to that is nowadays you have YouTube and all these platforms, Instagram, all these things. So as an actor or a producer or a director, you can make your films and post them. It doesn't have to have a theatrical release. It doesn't have to have this massive, launches and all that kind of stuff, or massive actors for that matter. Like what Mitul was saying, it's about the story and how you can narrate that story and make people feel. And there's platforms out there that will let you, release your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you both can take this one. Since the Supreme Court recently allowed passive euthanasia for Harish Rana, does this legal validation make your job as a filmmaker easier, or does it add the pressure of being factually perfect?
I don't think there's any pressure there. I think the Supreme Court, what's done, it's actually removed the taboo of talking about this topic. Right? It's been not talked about for a while. There's been cases in India that have not been approved yet, apparently, as well, right? This is just making people more aware of it, that there is the dignity to die right is there in the Constitution. So I think this is what's just opened doors for people to talk. Our film is not directly talking about that topic. It's not for or against it. It's just a struggle of a family of Shekhar to go through this dilemma to make that choice of letting someone go. So it's not directly talking about that topic. But yeah, it's. I don't think it's given us any kind of pressure that hey, we need to, either take that with us or talk about it. It's just it's just given a platform for people to talk.
Right. Mitul?
Exactly what Neeraj said, honestly. Yeah, nothing to add.
Okay,
Okay.
got it.
My question is to Raj. You have seen Euthanasia in your wife's family. When you read this script, did it feel like a mirror to something you had actually lived through?
Well, honestly, I was not there when it happened, and it happened to actually someone close to my wife. Um,
Right.
so it was very emotional because I heard all the stories that they went through and they had to do. And like I said, it was active euthanasia, where the patient actually decided that she was terminally ill and wanted to go towards euthanasia. So it just hit that chord. Honestly speaking, it is obviously emotional because it's happening to your own family. But it just hit that chord that this can happen to anybody. It just makes it the world's much more smaller. So that's why I felt that this story is something that we should be talking about. And I personally like stories like this, these human stories. Of course, I like the
Right.
commercial masala films as well, and I would love to do it. But these kind of stories make you even think more, and give it, like I said, gives it a platform for people to discuss various other topics that probably are not discussed.
Yeah, fine.
Correct.
Mitul, you deliberately didn't watch Guzarish because you didn't want to reference it. As a cinephile, how do you unsee the movies you've grown up with to find your own voice?
I actually still haven't watched Guzarish, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, the thing is, when I was writing the film, um, it's very easy to draw references from other movies that have been made, and I was constantly told that this movie has been made on this subject, this, that, etc., etc.
Right.
And I had my own way of treating it. I knew that when someone tells you that something like this on this subject has been made, yet you want to tell your own story, this is what I deliberately did, is not watch it just because I did not want to reference anything. Right now, I'm dealing with something. I'm writing my own things, and what I find creatively very unique, that is what I want to write. And subjects that I've been writing right now, very unique in nature. But when I talk about it in my friend circle, when someone points out, "Oh, this has been made in a similar way. That has been made." And when you actually see it, it is very close to what you are trying to make as well. It's very demotivating in a way. So that is something I am dealing with right now. But at that time, it was out of the place. I don't want to reference anything because a lot of movies, our film is a very simple story. It's a very simple story. It dwells a lot in its treatment. It does a lot in its treatment. And because of its simplicity, the emotion hits. So I did not want to reference those things because it's anyways not a plot heavy film. And yeah, I have no excuse for it. But
Watch it. That's the excuse
I've
you.
seen a lot of films post Mercy. I've
Right.
seen A Fly on the Wall. I've seen there have been so many films. Amour is a French film uh,
Right.
that deals with something similar. I've seen a lot of films posted just out of curiosity, but while writing, I did not want to reference anything.
You're right. But as a cinephile, do you see you're missing watching films?
I love watching movies. I watch some.
Yeah.
So this is what I had done deliberately for the writing of this film. Having
Right.
said that, I would love to watch everything and anything. Guzarish is still on my watch list. It's something I have not been able to go back to.
Right.
I'll go and watch it.
We will wait for you.
Yeah.
So, Raj, you were the producer and Mithun was your director. So, was there ever a moment on set where the power dynamic shifted? or did you say stay strictly director actor?
So look, it's no project is a sole project, right? You cannot do it alone. It's a teamwork. You cannot do it alone. So obviously, there's dynamics always that come into play, right? As a producer, there's a certain vision or a certain quality that I want. As a director, he's written a certain story with a very set vision. Um, Sometimes loggerheads always happens, but loggerheads doesn't mean that um, fight with each other and say, "Hey, मेरे को नहीं करना है," it's about coming towards the same kind of decision and the vision, aligning the visions together. And sometimes I had to change certain things. Sometimes Mitul had to change certain things. But as long as the core vision remains the same, that's what's important. As long as you stick to that, then these power plays don't really matter. You know what I mean? And I really, personally, I don't believe in power play. I'm not a producer. I'm a producer. I'm an actor. He's a director, a young guy. I'm an little older, not that old, but a little older than him. And so, it'll always be there with not just me and him, but with everybody for that matter. There's certain ways to deal with egos. I personally hate egos. It's just, I don't know even why people have egos, but everybody has one. So, yeah, as long as you can live with that and kind of combine and make it a team effort and remember the goal, because your goal is one, it works.
Right. You don't look a day over 25, sir.
We add few years here and there.
Maybe 23. I got it wrong. Okay, Mitul, does the Indian audience avoid films about euthanasia or particular subject, death, because we are afraid of the topic, or because we are as a society addicted to the hope of miracle, even when the machine says otherwise?
I wouldn't want to commentate on the entire society because since the time I have started to work on this film, people have communicated or spoken about mortality and death very openly with me. So personally, I don't think so. There's an issue with people feeling shy or they don't want to talk about it. Death in any society is a concept which has negative connotations to it,
Right.
which is why I think so. Which is also the hope with this film as well, that removing the negative connotations with the film, the film has silver linings. It has hope in its themes. In terms of the society, coming back to your question, I am not really sure how to answer that, honestly. I think the films that don't get made around this subject is not because of people don't want to talk about it. It's just because it is a very niche thing to talk about, and making films is an expensive medium. It takes so much time. So you want to make it as universal as possible. So it's very hard to do with a niche subject like this. That's one of the reasons lesser films get made on the subject, which I think it's more to do with that than the society not wanting to talk about it.
Raj, you playing Shekhar means living in a state of constant dilemma. How do you prepare a body language for a character who is stuck in one room, making one impossible choice?
So,
This is the question for Raj the actor.
yeah, of course. So obviously, everybody has a different process of acting, getting into that character, getting into that emotional state and all that. And I've done a lot of classes, how to get an emotional state with my breathing and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes really honestly to be performing there, that scene, it's how the entire environment is created. How your co-actors are responding, how your um, direction team and all are kind of making sure that that environment is very well set, which automatically puts you in that phase. Obviously, you have to do your preparation and all that. So for Shekhar, like I was telling you in the beginning, I'm not Shekhar, right? Shekhar is a very passive guy, doesn't talk much, listens more. I'm more talkative. I'll want to make my point, whatever. So to get in that aspect, I had to kind of close myself off. So like I gave you the example in the beginning about that episode with the line producer when he said so that after that next day I would come to the set and be happy jolly in the morning and say, hey, what's up guys, talk to everybody. But after that, for the next 10 days, honestly, I was locked up in the room. I was just getting in that bubble of that character and feeling the emotion. Every day I saw my mother lying in that hospital bed was very emotionally draining. So I just put myself, so you can call it a little bit of method acting, but I kind of put myself in that boat, in those shoes, and I just kind of, so that made it easier. While the other assets that I just told you added to it, the environment, the co-actors, everything. So yeah, that helped.
Right. Okay. Mitul, you said this film you made is for commercial audience. So, as a director, how do you film silence? How do you make a quiet hospital room feel gripping for the theatrical audience?
So this was a thought that I had even before writing it, because personally, the films that I would want to make are of very different genres, honestly. So
Right.
if you imagine a film like this, it looks or sounds very grim, or the hospital environment is very claustrophobic, also, if you may say. So
It is.
one thing that I made sure, how do we make the film more colorful, was again, as a storyteller, I have a lot of commercial sensibilities. I also intend to entertain, engage, and make you feel something that stays. But in terms of the visual aesthetic of the film takes place on the eve of Christmas. So that is how I saw a way out to make it more visually engaging. The hospital corridors have Christmas lighting all over. The When you step out of the hospital, there are celebrations happening everywhere. Shekhar's character is in such turmoil and has such a conflict to deal with, whereas everything around him is so in contrast to what he's feeling from within. So that added to the contrast and conflict of the film as well. So that is how I basically wanted to treat it differently, make it more colorful. The song, again, it is very musically heavy as well. The film. There are a lot of dynamics in play, जहाँ पे characters are diegetically interacting with music in the film. So,
Wow.
so those are the little things that make it more engaging, apart from the conflict being engaging in the first place.
Right. That makes
Okay.
sense. And how much Raj was the part of this decision as
I
a producer?
When I first thought of it as a Christmas film, or the film taking place during Christmas, I had this eureka moment myself. I wrote a draft, and if I remember correctly, I had informed him, what do you think about this, and he was on board from day one. That it does help the narrative of the film and
Right.
visually makes it more different as well.
My question is to Raj. As a producer, how much did the visual language of the film matter to you versus the performance of it?
As in the production design and all that versus acting.
Yes, 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 yes.
So obviously, as a producer, like I said, I'm from advertising, so you have to make sure that the production value of the film is good, right?
Right.
Obviously, it has to look real. It has to look as per the script, as per the dynamics of the family, the characters. What are so that is very important. I find, and yeah, of course, if you fail as actors, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Production value cannot help you, right? The
Right.
main is the acting. Main is the production value just helps you kind of visually give a different thing to the film, a look to the film, which adds, of course, right? But if the actors fail, nothing else works. If the story what he wrote failed, then the actors would have failed as well. So hand in hand, everything works. But if I were to give it importance, I would say yes, performing is very important as well as execution, because those two go hand in hand. And if they, I mean, you can put me in a chawl and I can do the scene, or a middle of a road and I'll do a scene. And if that comes out good, great. But if the road is adding value to it or negating that part, then I don't know. It's not correct.
Okay, let's talk about Adil sir, since he's in the film and plays Father Joel. Mitul, he told you the filmmaker needs to take the responsibility. How does a new director process that kind of a weight from a veteran?
I'm assuming you are referencing the instance where where he called me up a few days.
Yes, that only.
Yeah. Again, you can't help it. There is no other way to deal with it. You have to. It's the story that I want to tell. I wanted to tell. I had the conviction. I knew that this is what we'll feel out of the story. I totally understand where his concern would have come from, because yeah, at the same time, when you make a film on this subject, so many people in the the crew came with such an experience that they had been through something like this as well. So already I was so sensitive about it, to be very honest, because when you talk about death, you cannot do it without the sensitivity, or the sympathy should never be the word that should ever be used. It needs to be tasteful. It needs to be empathetic more than sympathetic. And in terms of responsibility, again, it's the story that I wanted to tell. It doesn't commentate a lot on what it is trying to preach to the society. It's not trying to do that. It's a story about a family who is faced with such a decision, and it talks about the morality of the situation. And I did not realize it until then, that it may come across as something big, but you again hold on to what you believe in. So that is what I did.
Right.
But I think, Adil, sir, it was great to work with him. And I think the first day when he came on set, actually, the first day when he got here to Bombay, Mitul, he and I went and in his room did a improv. So, we kind of just went through the scenes together, and it was very improvised. And,
Yeah.
uh, he was such a delight to work with. He was giving us so much more than what the character actually asked for. So it
Yeah.
was great working with him. And when he came on set, it made it easy as well for me, as well as an actor, for Mitul as a director, because that environment was so nicely set already in place with him. There was no attitude that, hey, Adil sir is coming, or everybody was very happy and was very jolly, and a delight to work with.
Yeah.
My question is to Raj. You have worked in various theatre circuits, acting opposite Adil. Did it feel like a masterclass, or did you have to consciously forget his stature to play the scene?
So honestly, when we set out to find that character, when he agreed to play that character, we were very happy that, listen, he's coming. And yes, he's a big name in the independent international scene, also in the commercial cinema and theater. And he actually does master classes in Bombay. I was supposed to attend one of his master classes, which I missed actually. But so when he was coming, there was this thing, oh, this aura, this going to come perform with us and all that. But all of that went out the door when we actually did that improvisation with him in the room. It just so down to earth, and we were just like colleagues acting or playing around and then improvisation. And then when we got on the set, honestly, on the set it was just normal because he was his character, I was my character. He's not Adil's. He's the father Joel. I'm Shekhar. So in that zone, he's someone who I've known all my life as a character. So I had to play that part. So that was very easy. But he helped, of course, the day before.
Okay, let's talk about the festival run now. You've won in London, screened in Chicago and Cannes. Does the global acclaim actually translate to theater screens in India, or are they two different worlds?
I think it's totally two different worlds.
Yeah.
What festival circuit achieves is not no award will kind of translate into ticket sales. It's your marketing, it's your film, how you promote it. All those elements are going to convert into ticket sales. Even then, ticket sales are hard to convert into, especially for films like ours. But festival helps just in the accolades and the experience of meeting other filmmakers and whatnot. Personally, I had a great time going to all these festivals. Cannes was, of course, our launch of initial trailer that we did in 24 when we almost just finished the movie. After that, winning at London Independent International Film Festival was great. We, of course, won in Jaipur as well. Mitul won the Best Debutant, and I won the Best Actor award, which was great to win. And it's great to just have people appreciate your performance or your direction. But converting into ticket sales is two separate things. It doesn't help.
Raj, you say the film is commercially in nature but talks about something very heavy. So how do you balance the entertainment with euthanasia?
So in Mercy, right? So like I said, Mercy, you know what it's about, right? It's about that son's struggle to let the mother go. So subject is slightly heavy, but our film is not a heavy. It's a very simple, straight line film with a lot of hope in it. It's also what happens after someone is gone. How does the family move on? Because you know that void always remains in your life, but you have to move on. Your family dynamics will still play out. Your relationships will change. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's about hope, you know, rather than just a very grim subject. So there is entertainment value in it, right? Besides the hope and the subject about it, we've really beautiful songs in the narrative. So we have songs with Sonu Nigam, Shweta Pandit, Devinder Pal Singh. So they're really beautiful songs. Our songs are being released by Z Music. So we're looking forward to that. But those melodious tunes stay with you. You know, they hit you at that emotion. They make you feel something, like the story as well. So I think it's balanced well.
To add to it, what is entertaining? It is how you engage people for the 2 hours or 2.5 hours that they are watching the film. If the conflict is interesting, it is entertaining to me. So yeah,
And our film is 1 hour 30 minutes.
one
30
hour.
minutes.
Okay, great. Uh, we asked Kanu Bell this, and I want to ask you both, what exactly is validation for you? Is this a trophy in London, the sold out sign outside a theater, or something else entirely?
So for me, honestly, if you ask me,
Hmm.
none of it. Honestly, I made this film with the hope when people watch it, they feel something. That's the underlying thing that I uh, want to happen. And we've made a film dedicated to that. About personal, anything personal, I think so. Very practically, if you ask me, we just hope that this film makes enough noise that when we want to make our next projects, next films, we can take this credibility and use it as leverage to get our films made, get our stories told. Because, as you said, it's still very hard for indie filmmakers to keep making films and they keep making stories that they want. So, this film, if it's done well, if people like it, it'll help give me at least more leverage to make the films that I want to make more moving ahead.
Right,
I mean,
Raj?
let's be honest, right? Like what Mitul said, I'll add to that. That, of course, is very true that it leverages us to make the next film. As a producer, of course, it'll give me a platform that I made one feature, not just made it, but released it as well. It counts a lot, right? So we're working on two other projects now, and it'll help basically garnering investment or release or distribution because we've done this project. So that definitely helps. But underlying, of course, I did it also because I'm an actor, so I want more work. You know, I want to do multiple different kind of projects. So I think hopefully people appreciate the work that we put in, all of us, and then that results in more interesting projects for us to do as an actor and a producer.
Mitul, as a young director, if you had to pick three films that acted as your textbook while you were figuring out how to film a silent, gripping hospital room, which one are they?
The genre shift is going to be very different. The thing is, my taste in movies or it may be very different from the film I've made. Uh, in terms of what you just said, I think so. If I may, instead of naming a film, an episode of a show, if I could mention.
Please.
Uh,
Yes.
I think so. It also left a huge mark on me, and it also inspired a few things in Mercy as well. It's the episode 3 of The Last of Us season 1. Uh,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, it's
The
that.
Bill story, I think.
Yes, that honestly, I would say that story changed my life. That episode. There are reasons to it as well. If that episode I hadn't watched, I wouldn't have made Mercy. There, yeah. So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
And that's
Uh,
also emotion that you talk about. Even in the film, when I watched that, I was so deeply devastated that I'd written this film as a short film. I read the script thrice again, and I had this gut feeling that this script will also make people feel something similar. And that is why I was then much more committed to making it irrespective.
Since we are talking recommendations, Raj, your work from Amsterdam. For our audience, what is some underrated international film or performance that completely changed how you look at the craft of acting?
There's so many of them, yeah. As an actor,
Please mention.
as an actor, I really like Tom Hanks' performances. Because whenever you see a Tom Hanks movie, you don't see Tom Hanks, you see a character.
Hmm.
So you see that
Right.
particular character. There are a lot of actors who are big celebrities or stars, and you basically see, them. Because you know how, I don't want to name them, but that's how they are, and you see them. And Tom Hanks, you don't see it. So I like all his movies. Castaway was my favorite. Um, what's it called? The Man Named Otto. Again, very well acted, totally different character. Terminal. There's so many that Tom Hanks has done. So I really like his craft. Also international. I like Adrian Brody. He's great. I think you see,
Great.
performances in his film as well. So
Mitul, as someone who just made the jump, what is some Indian indie film from the last year or a few years before that that made you think, okay, the scene is changing and I need to level up?
Sorry, by the way, these questions put me on the spot. I have really bad memory on such things.
Take your own time, please.
Uh, the last film, Indian film that I loved. And again, I watched the film much later, and I think it changed the course of how indie films are perceived globally. I watched it last year, so don't kill me for that. But I watched Masan last year. I hadn't seen it, and that made me so jealous, honestly. That level of craft. I mean, again, so as a filmmaker, I understand that my craft is still at a very nascent stage. I want to keep leveling up, keep improving, and when you see films like those, you would want to think that you'll never get there. Honestly, it's such a great film. So Masan is an example. I watched Boong recently, which was really amazing. Um, I've seen so many films at festivals. I saw All We Imagine as well. Very,
Imagine is right.
yeah, very different. I watched it at the premiere at Cannes. In
Wow, okay.
2024. Yeah, it was very different film, yet so engaging, so beautiful in its own respect. So there are so many films which have actually given India a voice at the global stage as well. And you sometimes when you honestly watching Dhurandhar as well, it made me so jealous. It's such a gripping film.
It
Uh,
is.
yeah, and I've been listening to its music. It's so good. And um, yeah, you want to make stories that are different. You want to keep exploring and expanding, I guess.
Right. Okay.
Any recommendation from you, Raj?
I mean, the ones Bitul mentioned, of course, are great. Just recent, a friend of ours, they made this movie Nukkar Natak, right? I
Yes.
saw it.
On three.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
saw it. And I think what Tanmay and Moultrie have done it's a true independent film. Shot also independent. It doesn't look commercial. It looks very independent, raw. Performances are great, and I love the way they marketed the film. So I think tremendous
Yeah.
what they've done, which is great. It's an inspiration what they've done, honestly.
Yes.
And the movie was very nice. I liked it a lot.
If you could go back to the first meeting in April 2023, what is the one thing you tell yourself to worry less about? Both of you.
Very less of.
I met him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Run away. No, I'm kidding. Um, Mitul, please go ahead.
Um. Uh. What's the question again?
What was that one thing? Like, if you could go back to your first meeting in April 2023, what was the one thing you tell yourself to worry less about?
I would not want to tell myself anything. I'm very grateful for how it has turned out, honestly. Last 3 years, it has been, again, I cannot envision my life any differently. I'm really, honestly, it may sound very diplomatic and I don't want to say it in front of Neeraj, but I'm really grateful for where I am. And I wouldn't want to change a thing. Wouldn't want to advise myself differently. All the mistakes that I've also made in the journey have been super helpful. So I wouldn't actually. I'll stop my future self from telling my past self from communicating anything. I'll just take him and yeah, not let him communicate anything.
Right. Raj.
I mean, look, it's honestly, I would not, in this dynamic, I would not change anything, because in this dynamic, it's been great. What we've achieved in the last 3 years, not just with Mitul, but the entire team, is we've made it like a family. You know what I mean? It's taken a while from inception to releasing the film. So it's become like a family, honestly. And I have my wife and kids as well. And, they're there, but this has become a separate unit, which I'm really glad about and happy about. So I wouldn't change any aspect of that. One thing I would probably change is think whenever you're making a movie, think about the entire gamut of it, right? So think
Right.
till the end about distribution. That's one aspect I feel when I set out to make this movie, I did not think how am I going to release it, which I feel is I wouldn't say it's wrong. It was ignorance on my part. Let's put it that way, right? And it's okay to say that. Is because that time I didn't think. I was like so passionate about getting back into the acting space and getting back into producing a long format. I've done some short films before as a producer as well, but this was a long format, and I said I have to make it. And I love the project. I just focused myself directly into production, directly into the acting, into the character, into the script with Mitul, and forgot about what's going to happen later. So I advise to anybody who wants to make a film is like plan it all out on paper, plan it on your mind, and have that entire thing ready before you even jump in. So that's one thing I would change.
Just adding to it, I would also say it also helped us in a way that ignorance helped us, honestly. Ignorance of not knowing about the distribution. We just went out and made the film. A lot of people, again, yeah, I completely agree with Neeraj and Raj. And yet, if we had known about the demons of how to release a film, I don't know if we would have made the film in the timeline we did, in the way we did. It's still made though, so it's also a huge thing. So people wait for a perfect opportunity to start off with. There's no perfect time as well. So, but at the same time, these are all our learnings we'll learn from it in the future. Yeah.
And one thing also, I in this whole process, honestly, there's certain things you learn, right? One of the things I really learned is manifestation really works. If you manifest something, the universe will give it to you. I don't want to sound preachy, but it works. And this one, honestly speaking, when we set out, I remember the first meeting we had in the office, I wrote it down on the board that when we knew that we were going to make some songs, we said we will get one of the singers, known singers for this song. We don't know how that time we didn't connect to any dots there, and yeah, I don't know, we had the singers. You know what I mean? We got one of them that we wanted to, so it does help. So yeah, just a second.
If people want to see Mercy on 24th, what is it you want to tell them about so they can get more involved or more into making a decision to watch it as soon as possible?
Mm. So, honestly, it's very simple for me. If you want to feel something emotionally, if you want to watch something engaging where people can relate. Honestly, it's such a common topic. It's almost in every household that someone has known someone who has been through something similar. So it makes it so much more relatable. And again, at its core, it's a film that will make you feel something. So if you want to be emotionally engaged and maybe shed a tear or two, please do come and watch the film on the 24th of April.
Raj.
Don't come here. I don't think you should. The shedding tears is part of it. You'll feel the character, then you'll automatically feel it.
Yeah,
Right.
It's just about feeling the characters. But what I think is, if you come to the cinema, you will take away that you can put yourself in any of the shoes, right? The brother's character, the wife's character, the mother's character, for that matter, even the child. So you will definitely feel that, oh yeah, that's me. That could be me. Oh, that happens in my house. I'm not talking about the passive euthanasia part, but anything else between the dynamics of the characters there. So it's made with a lot of honesty, performed with a lot of honesty. So I feel that you will really, it will hit an emotion. And more than that, it is obviously about the topic of letting go, but it's got a hopeful note in it about relationships, about family. It's got beautiful music. So you will get something out of it for sure. So definitely come and watch it. 24th.
Right. All right, Mitul and Raj, thank you for giving us your take on this conversation is exactly why we started this series. Mercy hits theaters on April 24th. For everyone watching, go support indie cinema that actually dares to ask questions.
Thank you very much for having us. And we're releasing in 11 cities, just to let you know. So
Right.
people can.
And which cities, if you...
So we're releasing in Bombay, Delhi, Pune, Chandigarh, Chennai, Bangalore, Surat, Ahmedabad, Cochin, and Hyderabad. Sorry, Hyderabad.
Right.
Lucknow as well. So yeah, please do go.
People watching from these cities, please do watch Mercy on April 24th.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Interview, by the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.